The following stream contains mature content and subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised. Chicago. Ask someone to picture the city, and they will have trouble coming up with a concise description. When people think of New York City, they think of skyscrapers, subways, and muggers. When they think of Los Angeles, they think of sun, smog, and traffic. When they think of Detroit, they think of cars, factories, and decay. But for those of us that know, there's only one thing we think of when someone mentions Chicago: vampires. And tonight, we tell their story.
Good evening, everyone. It's your boy Twitch again, bringing you some kindred news. It seems that Ventru Killian Roche bit off more than he can chew with this coterie. He went in, but he didn't come out. Of course, his little friend, Marco. Well, I guess at this point, they're going to play a new game with him. They're going to play a little Marco Polo, try to find what's left of him. I heard one Lamar kept his head as a souvenir. And then, after this event, the oddest thing happened. I saw Jackie with Dread. She brought him back to her haven. Of course, he didn't leave that night, or the next day, or the next night either. I hope, if she's gonna fang bang, she at least use protection. And then, well, Lamar was sighted going to a church. Now, I've been to that church. Of course I have. I go everywhere. But at that church, he may have spoken with Reverend Jeff. I heard Reverend Jeff was seen looking for a change of pants after Lamar's visit. And then finally, well, Jackie took a trip to Elysia and found out there's a shakeup coming. Seems Rosa does not have enough sense to keep her mouth shut and is no longer going to be, well, on the council. I wonder who else is getting changed. And for all the viewers out there, I can tell you that Shanky guy is not sus. So, I wonder what's coming up next for the Kindred. I guess we're going to have to find out, won't we? I'm your boy Twitch, and we will talk.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Windy City After Dark cast Q&A. I, of course, am Shanky McStabber. I'm the storyteller of this particular show, and I'm going to let the cast go around as they're in their order. They're seated on the screen here, and let them introduce themselves.
I am Relyn Dare, also known as Mama McStabber in Twitch chat, and in Windy City After Dark, I play Jacqueline Durand of Clan Ventrue.
Oh, you're next, Red.
Hi. Sorry, I went on mute. Hi, I'm Mischievous Red. I am playing Isabella Caputo of Clan Torador.
Good evening. I am the Ivy Raven, and I play Genevieve Schutz of Clan Gangrel.
I'm Irin, and I play Roscoe Acres in Clan Tremere.
Hi, I'm Gavin, and I play Lamar of Clan La Sombra.
And I am Brad, Timber Brad 411 in chat, and I'll be playing Clan, not Tremere. I'm joking, it's Hakata.
So I guess now everyone knows what clans our new players are playing. And as always, we do these at the end of every season so that we give the viewers out there a chance to ask us any questions you have about this season, previous seasons, character developments, future plans, whatever you want. We also ask each other questions about through the table. So if you're in chat right now, if you would, to make it easier on my wife who handles the questions, please select at the bottom to use your channel points to highlight your message. It makes it easier for her to see it when you have a question, so highlight it. That way she can easily find it. Otherwise, it's a pain in the ass for her to keep track of all the questions. But if anyone has any questions, of course, you can do so now. Go ahead and ask. And otherwise, we're going to go about. And I'm going to open one up right off, of course, because we got new players and it gives the viewers a chance to ask one. So I'm going to ask our new players right off the bat, what made you decide to join our cast here? And I'm going to start with Red there.
So I'm pretty new to the community, but it's always been so welcoming. And then when I saw the casting call, Vampire is a game that I have wanted to play for a very, very long time. And so I had to audition, and I'm here now.
Okay. And Brad's turn. Brad, what about you?
I would say for me, having been in a few games on the channel, it's always been a blast. And Vampire was always my first real tabletop RPG as a teenager, early 20s. So to get a chance to do that, or a character in that world, even though that was revised, this is 2 editions later. But getting to do that on this channel was a fucking dream come true.
And this is actually going to be your first V5 Chronicle, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And I know, Red, you had mentioned too, my wife, of course, you've played once before, but you're pretty much still a newbie to V5 as well, which is going to be great because we love getting new players and having new people at the table. So we're going to open it up. We're going to ask the viewer vote, but the first thing I want to ask is just for everybody. Now, for the new players, it applies for you too if you want to answer. But what are your general feelings on season 4? And we're going to start with my wife just to put her on the spot.
Of course you are. Thanks, my love. Season 4 had some ups and downs, but it felt like a lot of plot threads got resolved in season 4. So I find that season 4 was probably one of the most satisfying seasons that we've had in our chronicle, for me at least, so far, because a lot of plot lines really got resolved, and I love when threads get closed and new threads open up. So that's just exciting for me as a role player. And so really that was one of the biggest things with season 4 that I enjoyed, was seeing those loose ends get tied up nice and neat, and so we can move on.
And I'm going to skip the new players. We'll have those go last so they can think about, what they've seen and everything. Jenny, season 4, this was your first full season with the cast.
It was definitely something. I know I was not expecting there to be as much combat, but honestly, once the decision was made that it's like we're down people on the table and we have the coterie had a growing list of individuals that needed to be ashed, it was kind of a fun like twist, I guess, as it were. It's also been a difficult season for me because I've been feeling like I've been struggling kind of finding my footing, which is typical in a game when you come in, everyone else has established things. So that's why I was working on, but so I don't know. It was interesting. It was cool. It was definitely better than just being like a once a season guest. So
for someone who claims you were struggling a bit with your character, I've loved Jenny so far.
well,
and I'm going to save my other comments because there's some stuff. I know people always ask favorite scenes, so I'm going to save some of my favorite scenes. But trust me, you're involved in one of my favorite scenes. So, Roscoe there, Urian, what about you?
Well, I'd like to echo Jackie's thoughts on having a lot of the threads tied together from previous seasons. I'm kind of putting an end to them. Having some combat was fun, but that was a little out of the unusual for us. But it was satisfying for us to finally end some kindred. I like that I got to work with Lamar a bit, a lot more than I had, and I really enjoyed that.
Everyone enjoys working with Lamar, not going to lie. And I'm going to make a personal comment on that. Red, you mentioned you're new to the table, new to the community. When Gavin applied to be in Windy City, he was new to the community, had just joined the community. And there's a whole story about him being tricked into applying and all that good stuff. And that's up to him if he wants to share it now. But he was new to the community as well. And we've all loved having him at this table. So new to the community, that's the only way to get new people. It is. And so, Lamar, your comments.
This was the season that the coterie strikes back. We don't have a name yet, and I think 5 seasons we don't have a name. I think that's like the best running joke going on the game thus far. But I really like the fact that we got to get out there and deal with everybody who either threatened us at some point or started to threaten us, and sending people to camp fuck around and find out was a lot of fun. And I'm glad that we're bringing in new people who can also help us build more attractions at said camp. But working with each of the different players and crafting a story and like having Lamar bounce off of each of them, I had a great time with that this season, and I would like to continue that in season 5 as well.
Okay, so here we go. Timber Brad, you're first.
I liked seeing, as much as I troll Urian, like every chance I get, I loved this season. It felt like he was a lot more engaged. So actually getting to see him do, the spooky shit, but actually like being like all over the place. It wasn't just kind of, only keeping to one part of the story. Like he had a little bit of back and forth, and I think a lot of threads. And I thought that was really interesting to see Roscoe sort of blossom.
He did this season. He definitely did that. Red, your turn to be on the spot.
Yeah. So one of the things that I actually really enjoyed was it's unfortunate that characters had to leave, but I thought that the way that they left was really well done. It fit seamlessly into the story, and it kind of showed you how close the coterie had come together, just with like the sadness of seeing people leave. And like as a viewer, you could see it when each of them left. And so I think that was one of the things I enjoyed seeing. It's sad that they left, but I thought they did a really good job of how it was all portrayed.
It is tough when you have somebody leaving, unfortunately, but real life is real life, and we all have, business that we have to take care of, and we understand that around here. So I'm going to let Verlin start laying in because there's a whole bunch of viewer questions, so we might as well jump into those right away.
Yep, I want to get through the ones that have been posted so far, and then we'll take a break once I get through the few that are in there now and do some more table questions. So Eben Blade asks, what was everyone's favorite scene that they were not in?
So Verlin's doing reading the question back. She picks who goes first.
Let's start with Gavin on that.
The coterie, well, Jackie, Roscoe, and Genevieve taking out Ben. Wish I could have been there for that, but it was still awesome to watch you guys go there and handle business. So I had a lot of fun with that, and it was like that. Yeah, had Lamar been there, that would have been also cool. But knowing that everybody got shit handled, he's like, respect on all y'all names.
All right. Let's go with Morgan.
So trying to remember all the different scenes and stuff. I know Genevieve was oftentimes just kind of like there in scenes. But this would probably sound really weird, but probably one of my favorite scenes that really stuck with me was actually when we made the decision at break for how Gavin was going to handle his exit for a couple of weeks due to real life stuff. And that we have the rule at the table, we're not supposed to talk over each other, but when Shanky was describing the stuff or saying words and Gavin's just like, what the fuck? And like Shanky's describing the stuff. When he gets driven into the lake by his crazy ghost wife, it was a really great scene because it was very short, but it also was like, it felt very real. Like it had that very like, in my head, I saw it all, I heard it all. It felt like I was watching a movie almost. And so that was probably one of my favorite scenes from this season that I was not involved in. So.
Okay. And Lance.
Oh, Urian. Okay.
Yes. I always mispronounce it and call you urines.
Fair enough. I mean, it's hard to pick. There were so many scenes this season. But I think my favorite was Eleanor and Jackie when they were talking with the emissary.
Yeah, when Jackie had gone in to check on her friend.
That's right. And she wasn't going to back down.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a good one. That was a lot of fun to do that one. And that was one of those in the moment decisions that, I was so in the character's headspace at that time that I was just like, yeah, she would rouse toughness and walk right in to make sure her friend was okay. She would stare down a demon for her friend. Yeah.
And she did.
Yeah, she did. One of my favorite scenes. Honestly, I'm going to say I really loved the little scene of Jenny talking with the alderwoman. That really gave some good insight into that character and how she operates. I love scenes that show me beyond the facade and show me a little more depth to a character, and that was one I really felt showcased some of the depth in Jenny. All right, Shanky.
Okay, well, for me...
so you weren't playing an SPC in a scene.
Right. For me, I love the scene of Roscoe and Lamar doing their thing, going to the underground crypt. Because that was the first time you had Lamar and Roscoe in an extended scene together with just the two of them, doing their own thing that had nothing to do with the rest of the coterie. I love that. That was great to see. I like a lot of the scenes where you just get, honestly, where Jenny's, I can't believe I'm about to admit this. When Jenny's bad-mouthing the Blue Velvet. And with the whole coterie just talking, just mad shit, nonstop, just laying that shit deep. That was great to see. I love that. Eleanor is gone. When Jackie and Eleanor scenes, dealing with Eleanor's sire at the start of the season. that was touching. That showed the depth of her friendship. And it's a big deal. There's a lot of little scenes like that. It's hard to remember all of them, but the one where Jackie would explained about the choice that Eleanor is making and what the repercussions were. It was touching to see. So I've got to say, as a storyteller, it's great to be able to just sit back and watch all these great scenes because I can. And anytime you get the players going together, I let it run to make, till it looks like the scene needs to end, because just watching them bounce off each other. And I mean, this is all improv. This is freeform role play in character. It's a show and we try to make it entertaining, but it's not scripted. It's not nearly as planned as sometimes it seems like it is. It's really not. And watching them bounce off each other is just amazing to watch. So now Lynn can decide if she wants to ask the new players.
You know what? If the new players have a specific scene that stood out to them during season 4, I'm happy for them to share.
Yeah, so I think one that really stood out to me was actually the final boss fight in the season finale, where the entire coterie got together and just slammed these people down. It was really good. Even though it was a serious time, there were also humorous moments. For example, when you ended up firing a guard at the end after drinking them, or when Lamar almost blew up the club when he almost shot the wrong gun, and then changed his mind last minute. I think that was one of my favorite ones, just because it was serious and a lot of serious stuff was done, but there were still moments of humor in it.
And then I would say for me, after seeing so many seasons of not combat-oriented characters getting shit done, seeing someone like Jenny just destroy people, and it just kind of reinforces, now that she's in the coterie, just how dangerous the group is, because it's another facet that they didn't necessarily have covered, but they definitely have covered now. So just to see her just kind of walk in and fucking run roughshod on people with ease was just amazing to watch.
And I have to comment on that particular part there. The way I run the game is my SPCs do not have omnipotence. They don't know everything. In Killian's case, first of all, he had one intelligence. He wasn't a smart person. He was really an idiot in a lot of ways. He had no clue Jenny existed. His formulation of the coterie was Jackie, Eleanor, Roscoe, and Lamar. He had never met Etienne. He had never met Peter. He had no clue as to the real capabilities of the coterie. So by his calculation, his boy Marco and 3 others was enough. But unfortunately, that calculation was vastly wrong, because even without Jenny, he was in deep shit. Because, first of all, he never accounted for Etienne, who's a monster when it comes to shooting at things, Peter, or he had never seen what this coterie actually was capable of. He had only had his guesses. He had no actual basis as to their combat or their ability to defend themselves. And it was a fatal mistake in his case, for him and his buddy Marco.
Okay, so the next question is from Maddox. Is there a side of your character that you want to explore or have mentioned in the next season? I'm going to let the cast decide who's going to go first.
Roscoe should go first.
Absolutely.
Damn it, Lamar. And I really was really trying hard to figure out what I would like to explore with Roscoe that he hasn't done so far. And I'm kind of drawing a blank on that, to be honest. I'm sure there's some facets on maybe some of his contacts he hadn't seen that haven't come up in play in the story yet.
Samantha.
Well, yeah, there we go.
Still looking for that deep discount.
She wants to check out the D section of your library.
I thought he was going to say he was looking forward to the next supernatural being he could invite into his shop or his truck or his back door.
Wait. One of those is not like the other.
Don't forget the new cabin. That's a new place for them to invite something sus.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, Jesus Christ. No. Okay, that's all. I just want to say that.
Okay.
It's officially the Roscoe Gigolo Hour in season 5. So
I have to get myself some new shirts then.
I'll go since everyone's hesitant. It's going to happen sooner or later eventually, but there's going to be more of the actual like reasons why Genevieve is Genevieve and why she is a gangrel is going to start coming up at some point in season 5, possibly season 6. So it's going, these things are going to start coming out eventually. And we all have dark backstories, but like Genevieve's backstory is fucked up. And eventually I hope everyone gets to see it because it's fun.
Well, with Lamar's recent shift in his outlook on life, shall we say, his relationship with his new Mala is something that I definitely want to explore, but also the fact that he still has living family out there that is not Tariq. Like his brother is a retired baseball player. He's got half siblings from his mother's second marriage that are in the city. And he has not had cause to look for these people or go out, speak to these people yet. But with everything that happened with his ghostly ex-wife and what's happening with his family now, I kind of want to play around with that and see how he relates to them now that his humanity is slowly but surely decreasing.
And it is.
That's gonna go dark, but honestly, I have explored a lot of the layers of Jackie throughout 4 seasons with her. She's very much an onion of a character. She's got a lot of layers, but I think things I want to focus on more so with her is what her duty actually is. That's kind of going to be the direction I think I'm going to take her in season 5, doing more of the work she's been assigned by her Justicar and the Archon of her Justicar, basically focusing on that she is very tower loyal. And that she knows that she has responsibilities she has to manage on top of maintaining her facade as it was as just another Ventru in a city that happens to be tied to a coterie. So it's going to be fun to explore how she does that juggling act over season 5.
Now, for me, I'm looking forward to exploring the story of our 2 new players. We did the unique Session Zero method. They have vastly different backstories, vastly different tones of their backstory, actually. It's definitely 2 very unique characters with a totally different mindset, which is going to be really interesting to explore. I know Berlin's going to get worried when I say this. I do plan to explore more of the Dredd-Jackie relationship because she gets worried because of what happened with the last one with Nolan. Lamar's going to get some more with his Mala. I've got some, I don't do a lot of planning, but I've got an idea for a storyline involving the Mala, which will be interesting for that. Roscoe's still got a bunch of Sun Chi shit going on, and I put him on the path of Tracy Graves. A little more in-depth of a path of Tracy Graves.
Mm-hmm.
And Jenny is starting to put her people into the university to get knowledge on Kratos. And that is a character that is steeped in vampire lore, but he's also the child of Menelaus, who, those who've watched our season this time, Maddox was the first one to properly guess who woke up, who they rescued from that crypt, or who they pulled out of the crypt, was Menelaus, Methuselah of Clan Bruja. So you have the 4th and the 5th gen Bruja in the city now. That's, that's interesting. So
Okay, I'm not going to ask the new players to answer that question because that may be giving away too much spoilers if you try to answer that question. So we're going to hold off on that one. So Evan Blade did ask, what is everyone's lore sheet and why did you pick that one? I'll go ahead and answer that one first. I actually have 2 of the perks from the Agent of Justicar Parlor sheet that was in Fall of London. I have the 1 dot that it makes Jackie an informant, but it also means that she can get information from her Justicar or representatives of her Justicar on certain things that she needs information on periodically. But she does have to do work in order to get that perk. And then she also has the 3 dot that basically gives her the equivalent of a 5 dot mala of an Archon. So that's why Nolan was an Archon for her, and when he died, Dredd ended up stepping in and taking that spot.
For Lamar, I actually took 2 perks from the Sect War veteran lore sheet, where Lamar is both like he got some information. He's got some rep based on some of the stuff that he did during the Sabbat Camarilla Wars, and also trophy kill, where he's actually killed someone pretty important from a Camarilla member, and that's been, if you watch the intermissions, you know about that. If you have not, well, someday he's going to have to whip that out and shut someone down. It hasn't come across yet,
But then there's the other one. You got credit for killing
yes,
the Pontifex of DC at the time, which was what was his name? I forget his name.
Dorfman.
Peter Dorfman. Though Vicky actually killed him, Vicky lets you take the credit, which hasn't come out in the story either. But I'm sure Shanky would not bring that up eventually.
never. He's not going to use that. Why would he?
Does Roscoe even remember his lore sheet? Actually, he does. He finally used it this season.
Yeah, the Ambrose Meropus. I needed the tech background. I have 3 dots in that lore sheet. I needed the help on solving some tech problems, and that was going to be a good contact that would help out in those regards.
And for those that don't know that lore sheet, Ambrose is the Malkavian super hacker. He lives in Europe.
Nosferatu, I thought.
No, he's Malkavian.
Oh.
He is a Malkavian super hacker that most people don't. They think he's Nosferatu because that's what tech is. Very few know his real identity. He lives in Europe and he's notorious over in Europe, but Roscoe actually has that lore sheet. And he's used it once. That's where Gabriella comes in. That's why we got Gabriella brought in. And yep, it's linked back to the Ambrose. And fun fact, if you pull up Gabriella's sheet in the Chicago books, I think it's Folios or whichever one she's in, I forget exactly which book, it actually mentions she knows Ambrose. So that's why it's tied in perfectly. So he is actually an Os? Okay, I thought he was Malkavian.
I just looked it up. He is actually an Os.
Yeah, it's actually Gabriella's lore tied to Ambrose. That's why I made her his contact in Chicago, because it makes sense. Okay, stick with the lore that way.
Unless the newbies want to go, I can say mine. So
the newbies love it. Okay.
I was gonna say I can go first on this one. So I actually have 2. One of which is Harbingers of Asher. And the other one is Descendant of Roger de Camden. Just with everything that kind of came up during session 0, the specific like dots that I took in those 2 work really, really well for his backstory. And I think that I think there's a lot of potential for some interesting use in this coterie in seasons to come. So I'm excited to look into those.
Okay.
I can go next. So Isabella's is the Chicago convention. I wanted to have something that tied me more to the kindred side of Chicago outside the coterie. She has other reasons for being in Chicago, not related to being a kindred, but I wanted to have a kindred one as well.
And I think that's actually you are the first person to pick a Chicago specific lore sheet. Mm-hmm. Most of the others pick just general lore sheets. You're the first one to have a one that ties you directly into the Chicago meta and the story of Chicago in terms of kindred history. So I like that. There's a lot of good things I can use with that. And to be fair, there's a lot of good benefits on that sheet that'll help the coterie as a whole because of your connection.
Let's hope that we don't need all of them. One of them is pretty serious and we can only use it once. So
well, once in my game is once per chronicle. So that's every 2 or 3 seasons.
Right.
Obviously I have the Fiorenza lore sheet. I have the 1 dot, which is what Evan is. He is a 3 dot ghoul for the price of 1 dot. And though if something untoward were to befall him, Fiorenza will not look kindly upon me. And I also have the 3 dot, which is Fiorenza counts as like a 4 dot mala or something ridiculous. She'll let you have access to her, which is bigger than a lot of normal malas, but she's also not in the city. So she's more doing stuff outside of that. Though that is also another one that you can lose. If you abuse her privileges, she will cut you off. So, yeah.
Yeah, that we haven't delved deep into the Fiorenza as much for those that watch the season. Fiorenza asking Jenny to look into the history of Carthage is a test. It's a test because Fiorenza knows exactly what's going on in Chicago. She's fucking Fiorenza. But it's a test to see if Jenny can find the info to prove herself. And if she can, you can expect to start seeing Jenny get other tasks. And that's where the Mauler relationship comes in. It's a give and take. It's not always just, they don't always give you all the information. They need favors too once in a while. And you're going to start seeing those once she passes her test.
Big faith I'm going to pass it, but.
Oh, you will. It's not, there's a number of kindred who know what's going on. It's just a matter of finding the right ones.
All right. So Evan Blade had one more question for everyone, or at least those who have played in season 4. Is there a plot line you regret not having been followed up? I'll answer that one first this time. I honestly, for me and for my character, I don't think that there is necessarily plot lines that she regrets not exploring, but there are some that seem like they haven't been explored that will be in season 5 and season 6. Some things that happened in our earlier seasons has kind of been put on ice for now until we got the tools or resources we needed to be able to deal with them. And with the people that are coming in season 5, we will have some capabilities that we did not have that we can actually explore some of those things that we couldn't touch on earlier. So I don't really, that's why I don't feel that for me, that I regret not following a plot line, because some of them I know are just kind of sitting there waiting that we can explore when we're ready to. So.
I can answer this really quick. No.
Okay, that was easy.
I'll say that, again, like as Rylin said, I don't feel that any of the threads have been cut off. They're just something that'll be explored later. It just wasn't time to get into them maybe in the past season, but it will be coming up. So I don't feel that anything's been foreclosed on completely just yet. I mean, except for the thin blood that I killed a long time that we kind of forgot about. That was in DC by night.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't talk about that one anymore because that was part of your rocket ship to low humanity. That started the rocket ship.
For Lamar, I mean, he really wonders, was that guy really good enough? No, he doesn't wonder that at all. He knew. But as both Rylin and Urine have said, there's a lot of stuff that is in progress that we just don't see yet, that hasn't come back to the fold yet. As it stands now, I do feel like I do feel good about all the things that we were able to accomplish this season and put to bed. So I don't feel that there's anything that, we forgot to do that thing, or we let that thing get out of hand, and that's going to be a problem later. I think we're going to see the next few seasons, the stuff that happened this season is going to be very fun to explore.
There's there's something that one viewer had brought up before. Actually, it was brought up in Zoom chat. There's questions as to Nero. What's going to happen with him? Expect to see Nero come up season 5. I wanted to have more of Nero in season 4, but after the incident with the Second Inquisition and all that kind of shit that went on, we didn't have an opportunity to really highlight, to do any more Nero. And that's always a problem with a streamed format, where we try to limit the episodes to 2 to 3 hours so that it's easier for people to catch up and binge watch, but it's also easier for people to block the time to go watch it, because it's the length of a normal movie these days. 2.5 hours is like a standard movie time now. 3 hours is like Peter Jackson movies, but we try to keep them in that range. So there's a lot of stories that we lay the groundwork, and they'll come up season 5, season 6, those kind of things. That's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately. So, but the players do know that just because we didn't address them this season, don't mean it's not going to keep going. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, because everything has a time and place, and this season wasn't the time or place for some of them. Like Nero, we just didn't have enough time to do it.
Okay, so I'm going to take a break from viewer questions. We have a few more, but I'm going to do them in batches so we have a chance to ask some table questions. Shanky, why did you bring Minnalee back to the city?
Yeah, she warned me she was going to hit me with this one. I am an old school vampire player. I played V1 back from 93 to 99, and then I took my 20-year break. And one of the things that I don't always agree with the V5 meta is how the Elders and Methuselahs are mostly pulled out of the story. The best vampire stories to me always involve 2 old vampires fighting their private grudges, because they all have grudge matches. That's all it's turned into. And them dealing with that, and the players not being integral to it, not being the ones caught in the fight, but the players being the outside people that can influence the fight either way through their own actions. The best stories are done that way. And while the Lake Spirit was fun, the Lake Spirit does not, he's not on the same ground, honestly, as Portia. Helena is, she's so crafty. A spirit that has never been human will have no concept, and has not fought the war she's fought, will have no concept in how to battle her. The Lake Spirit could not win the fight they were involved in. That chess game was not going to end for the Lake Spirit at all. The only one who's ever challenged her was Menelaus. And so I felt, because the Lord never said specifically he died, it just said his blood bond with Kratos broke, and then they assumed he was dead. I felt it was a time to bring him back in the story, because you can't leave a Methuselah running roughshod on the city alone with nobody to oppose her. It's not fun to me. It's not good story.
You end up with the mess that Chicago is presently in.
Exactly. So by bringing him back, I've actually evened the playing field a little better, balanced the city out a little better, and so we can tell a better story where the players influence how the war is going without being part of the war directly. Now, there'll always be things that they do that help one side or the other, because it's still, there's levels that no player could ever comprehend when you're talking to someone that old, but they still can influence the game, and they can tip the balance a little here, a little there. And that's great story. It's those little things they do that change things in a big way, like bringing them out of the crypt. That one little action changed the balance of power in the whole city. And that's on them. They brought him out of there. They failed their roles, and they brought him out of there. And now look at what happened with the Privileging Council. And Jackson's running around with that tooth necklace. And it's changed the balance of power, and it makes the story, I think, in some ways better. So that's why I brought him back. Anyone else at the table got questions for each other? Feel free to ask. All of y'all got the right to ask questions in this. You can ask it of the whole cast, certain people. You can even, punish me and hit me with fucking questions. I don't care. Everyone's thinking, favorite scene. What was the favorite scene you were in for each of the players at this table? Sorry, new players, you don't have a favorite scene you were in, because your favorite scenes now are your session 0, which I will say
we're fucking awesome.
Fucking amazing. I'm not going to say whose. You'll probably be surprised. Somebody's session 0 took a very dark turn towards the end. And it may not be what you expect. If you ever find out the history of that, I'm not going to spoil it because it may come up in the show, and I don't want to spoil that big reveal. But somebody's took a very dark turn.
Mhm.
So, favorite scenes from let's start with Lamar that you were in.
I mean, every time I get to play with each of these people, it's it's a lot of fun. I do love the fact that everybody, that he committed diablerie, and everybody else was like, you know what, he earned that. That guy earned that. It's cool. And no, just like with Eleanor when she killed Son, and everybody was like, do what you need to do, and we have your back. Everybody having Lamar's back on that was extremely important to him, especially after what happened with Tally. He has found his people, so to speak. So I was very happy with that. Also, watching Jackie tank a Bruja with Fist of Cain.
You got scaroused, didn't you? You got a bit scaroused from that.
Lamar's just like, if someone don't snap her up, because I'm gonna shoot. He's like, if someone does it, I'll shoot my shot. I might get shut down, but I'll shoot my shot if no one else is going to. Dredd stepped up, so he gets the salute there. But that was awesome.
Thank you. I'm not gonna lie, as a player, I was kind of panicking in that moment because I'm in Jackie's headspace and she's like, well, shit, everybody's fighting Killian, who's all hemmed up. But meanwhile, this Bruja is punching the shummy. Okay, let me make sure he's distracted and focused on me so he doesn't hit Etienne beside me.
Well, Etienne was still at the elevator shooting past. It was Peter.
Okay, well, let me make sure Peter is protected. Let me just make sure my people are okay and that he hits me instead.
Because for those that saw, Etienne managed to deflect Sam the Bruja shot. Etienne would not have been, Marco would eventually get him, but Marco would have a hard time hitting Etienne. Etienne has been a bodyguard for over 200 years now. That is his primary thing he does.
Yeah.
He is hard, even for a kindred, to beat on a straight, to touch. He's got a lot of dice and he dodges very well. Peter, unfortunately, is a new ghoul. He is not nearly as skilled as combat. If Marco had got hold of Peter, Peter would have been paced. And that's why Jackie had him hide behind her so that she could literally be the wall for Peter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely, though, that made me think on how I'm going to further develop Jackie. She definitely needs more hit points if she's going to be the wall.
And I look forward to a coterie conversation about tactics.
Yeah. Because a coder conversation on tactics needs to happen after that. Because it was we all survived it, so it was a win, but it could have gone better. And so that's something that needs to be a discussion.
And for those that don't realize, that was the first time the coterie got ambushed. Every other fight the coterie's been in, they did the setup. They knew what they were getting into. They did the fight. They initiated the fight. This was the first time the coterie did not have the option of starting the fight. The fight was started for them. So the tactics have to be evolved to how you deal with when you get ambushed. Who's going to do what? Whose role is what? And I think Roscoe's been talking about adding to his own combat ability just in case, because he has a certain blood sorcery power that is horrifying once he gets a little bit of skill in a blade weapon of some kind. It actually makes blades horribly dangerous even to kindred.
Yeah. So let everyone else answer the question. Favorite scene that you were in?
Okay. I'm not sure if this counts, but I really enjoyed the memoriam that we did. Was that this season or was it?
That was last season, I think.
That was last season.
What did we do for this season's previous one? We did
Yeah, the memoriam was no. That was last season before last season started. It was this season that
was
season
Nolan fight.
Yeah, it was a Nolan fight and us basically finishing out that end scene.
But the memoriams were awesome.
Yeah, the memoriams were great. Yeah. But was there a scene that you were in this season that was a favorite for you?
You're asking the hard questions.
That's what I'm here for.
I enjoyed all the scenes that I'm in. Even if it's just doing a tiny little thing, it's usually awesome for me.
I like the scenes that you with Sun Chi this season. At the beginning of the season, some of the ones with Sun Chi were interesting.
Yeah.
Because it showed that Roscoe was trying to care, trying to reach out, you know? And even you're concerned now about trying to locate her still.
Mm-hmm.
It shows you're trying to be a friend.
It's kind of a twofer. I really enjoyed the opening night at the Phoenix, Chicago location scene. That was a lot of fun. The whole section of it was very fun because it goes from like Fiorenza being like learn about history, and I'm like fuck, and then getting to hang out with Jackie for a little bit, and then doing all that stuff. Like it was very fun and interesting to me. Though I also was a big fan, and I can't remember which scene it was exactly, but it was in like episode 5 or 6, I think. Maybe it was episode 4, I don't know. But it was like, because the first time we interacted with Evan, he's very like cold, which was perfectly fine. Then we kind of realized like Evan's kind of a little goofy, which was perfect. And so when Evan and I actually had like a conversation that was more than just like 4 words, one of those first times was really good. Because I feel like Evan grew a ton really quickly, and he became an interesting side character. He's not Etienne, he's not Peter, he's Evan. So, but yeah, being able to like interact with him was kind of fun. So
it's on my list. The scene with Jenny and Evan in the car riding together after they brought the thing out of the ground. I love that scene where Evan and Jenny were in the car, where you saw the other side of Evan. Not the himbo he plays, because let's be frank, Fiorenza would not have somebody just because they look good. She's not the type that would hire anybody for that. Seeing the other side when Jenny and him were in the car, that banter between the two, I enjoyed that. I love playing Cedric with Jackie, though I wear this Malkavian signet ring.
That was a good scene.
I will say that the next time I get to be a player, I will be a Nos, because my 3 top were always... originally, it was Malkavian, Nos.
I would like to answer
Ministry.
the question, though.
I will. Hang on. I'm giving my favorite scenes. So with Jackie, the scene with Cedric, I loved it. I love the scene with Roscoe and Sun Chi. With Lamar, I actually enjoyed the date with Kathy. Because it showed that Kathy was not the bimbo everyone assumed. It showed the other side of Kathy, the real person underneath her fuck up with the first time she approached him. She put it on too heavy, thinking, well, that's what men want. But that's not what Lamar wanted. And it showed that complexity in her character. So those are my favorites, because I got to have one favorite from each person. And those are my favorites. For Eleanor, it was when she met Dolly. Eleanor and Dolly. Honestly, Sam didn't have many NPC scenes where I can actually remember one that really struck me, because the Damien was okay, but it wasn't. When I don't have a big one, so I can't name a Sam one that really grabbed me, where it was me and him interacting, but those are my ones from the other one. And now Verlaine can answer hers.
Thank you.
Because I get the answer too.
I know you do, but you usually let the players go first.
Oh no, I wanted to get mine in.
Yeah, I know. Scene hog. But, okay, so honestly, my absolute favorite scene, I can't limit it to just one. There's going to be 2. There is going to be 2. The first one, though, hands down, was the scene that I had with Jackie and Etienne, where viewers really got to see who Jackie really is. That was her being truly her. That's who Colette was in life. She really cares about Etienne. And then to be able to show how she can compartmentalize like a fucking master. That she can go from that emotion with Etienne to just stone cold, spine of steel, punish and murder Thea. Right after that. It showed who she was as the person, her humanity that she's still tied to, and who she is as the monster. I loved that dichotomy and playing it out. That was probably my favorite scene of everything I've done with Jackie so far. And then the other, and I even complimented my husband on how he played. It was just a brief little quip of something that happened, but it was such a great little thing that when he played Peter, when Jackie was telling him he was going to be bait for Thea, and Jackie had to place the bug on Peter, he played Peter as, kind of being very flirtatious and obviously still having the hots for Jackie. And I loved that because that would be appropriate for Peter. He was her blood doll before he was her ghoul. They were basically dating. So, yeah, I loved how he just did that with Peter. It really showcased the difference between the Peter and the Etienne and what the relationship is like between the two ghouls and Jackie. And I absolutely love that scene.
So I think everybody had one, didn't they?
Yeah.
I can't wait for season 5's Q&A so we can start hearing the new players' favorite scenes.
I know.
God, it's going to be fun.
Okay, so I'm going to get back to, if no one else has any questions, I am going to go back to viewer questions. But if someone has a question they'd like to ask of the table.
Oh, wait, let's get some more viewers in so they don't backlog too far.
Okay. Maddox asked, does Jenny think it's time to bring some Vegas sensibilities into this weird Illinois clusterfuck?
Already on it. More balconies, more large windows. You know it. No, we're gonna get a desert. It's gonna be perfect. So.
Okay, so Evan Blade asks, what predator types does everyone have? Any new unique ones? Jackie's is a custom predator type called Inanna. It is a custom blend that is balanced against other predator types of Osiris and Siren.
Mine is also a hybrid that worked out with the storyteller. It's a occultist.
Yeah, it's like a scene queen, but it's his scene is the occult, so it's tailored a little more towards his knowledge in the occult, which is what causes someone like Samantha. She's a goth groupie, cultist groupie. She wants some of that occult stuff. She wants to see his scepter and his sacrificial dagger. She just wants to play with it a little bit.
We'll see.
Lamar keeps it simple. His is Alley Cat, if you couldn't tell. And he's catches you, drinks from you, and maybe releases you.
Oh, except that one guy, but that was season 1.
Yeah, except that one guy.
Before the newbies answer, Genevieve has Scene Queen. It's difficult in Chicago, but we're working towards remitting that. So
Isabella is
No, I was about to say, so who's going first from the newbies? But I guess it's you. You've spoke up.
So Isabella is a scene queen. I'm guessing with a different scene than Jenny. Hopefully she doesn't have the same struggles, but we'll see.
I don't want to reveal your backstory, but yeah, your scene queen would be definitely based on what your character does as part of who they are now. So yeah, I see it.
And then Nicholas has grave robber. So in a city like Chicago, no issue finding a dead body. So
no, not in the world of darkness. It's even worse than real life, which is pretty fucking horrifying when you think about it. Just follow Lamar around for a night, or
I was gonna say,
or Loden and Capone's people in Southside. You'll have more than enough feeding.
And Evan Blade also asked, do all the players have good relationships with their sires and or childers? I can actually answer that collectively. No. Some do, some don't, but I will let individuals speak on their relationships if they wish to. Jackie's was about as good as a kindred sire-child relationship could be, and thus hers with her child is about like that too. It's about as good as it can get. It's a supportive relationship for the most part. Yeah, there's some, using folks to your benefit kind of thing, but it's still a supportive relationship for the most part. So that's for Jackie.
Yours is easy, Roscoe. Go ahead and say your relationship with your sire.
my relationship with my sire is fantastic. Actually, my sire is Helena Taylor Pontifex in DC. It started off a little rocky, being either
Death or embrace? Yeah.
Yeah, get embraced or die. But it smoothed out quite a bit after that, because I happened to resemble one of her former paramours, and it's been really great since.
It probably smoothed out a whole lot when she stopped referring to you as Trevor, which was the name of the paramour.
Yes, it did. But in recent nights, it's been, we keep it, we're very friendly.
Yeah, Lamar, why don't you share about your sire?
Lamar's relationship with his sire was that Lamar sacrificed him to join the Camarilla. So, and aside, there also, his sire was very devoted to religion, very devoted to he was a nodist in the Sabbat, and I haven't really shown it yet, but Lamar kind of has issues with organized religion given his mortal upbringing and then his sire. So maybe season 5 will show why he has issues with organized religion and just his issues with God in general.
I expect to see some of the cultist stuff starting to come up season 5. Nodist, Church of Cain shit, Mithras cult, Bahari cult of ours. There's a number of cults. It's time. They released a whole bunch of books on them. Let's start putting them in there.
Mm-hmm. No, that can't tell Lamar has issues with organized religion. Book of Lamar, chapter AK, verse 47. Come on.
I didn't think it was really out there, so maybe we can make it a little more evident next season.
I'm definitely going to have to up my scripture game when I speak as your beast, because the scripture's got to be thrown. Jenny can do hers, and then we'll get the new people's relationship with the sire.
Yeah, Genevieve has a good relationship with her sire. Her sire has kind of that gangrel aloofness, as it were. So she was there for a little bit and then kind of found other things to wander off to. But she doesn't despise her sire, and honestly, she views her sire in a good light, in part because her sire her sire had her chains broken, and her sire in turn broke Genevieve's chains. So, and it set Genevieve down the path that allowed her to become who she is and actually lift herself up out of what she was. So,
Newbies.
Okay, I'll go first then. So Isabella has a good relationship with her sire. I don't want to get into too many details as to why it's a good relationship, but it's a good relationship.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I'm not going to spoil who it is, but Isabella actually has a canon character for a sire. So there's ties to the actual meta as a whole, which will eventually come up. Who knows what season, but it's going to come out, because it always does.
And I would say Nicholas, absolutely. It started off, I think, rocky, but over time, it's gotten better. Once he's kind of learned his place in everything that's sort of been going on in Kindred Society, they're definitely more on the same page.
There's a question for you, though. Did the family reunion of the Hakata help improve your relationships with your sire and your overall relationship with your clan as a whole, or did it in some ways bother you?
I think it improved my relationship with the sire. With the rest of the clan, probably not so much. With the Harbingers of Asher being like the old school Cappadocians, the fact that the Giovanni aren't kind of as prevalent / top dog anymore probably pisses a few of them off. But with him and his sire, it's only made things better.
Because that is an important distinction when it comes to your particular clan, because there was a big change. So.
Okay, Ebonblade asks, is Roscoe going to gain a new demon friend this coming season? God,
I'm gonna
fucking
answer
hope
that.
not.
The demon storyline was actually tied with Eleanor.
Mhm.
With Eleanor departing the show, the demon storyline was ended because, frankly, the coterie doesn't have a lot of ways to deal with the demon other than to catch him weak like they did. So I'm pulling the demon out of that storyline a bit. He's dead. The amount of years it would take him to get out of the abyss is not going to factor into Chicago again. So I'm not going to put many more in because it's another power imbalance thing where there's not a lot a kindred can do against a demon, especially if one has a proper flock to build faith. Demons don't have much to fear from a vampire. Now, there'll be some tertiary stuff because Martin mentioned there's a few in the city, but they avoid kindred. There may be some tertiary mentions, but at no point are you going to see them really directly involved with the coterie again. And that's just a story choice I made.
Okay, Maddox asks, does Lamar have a new appreciation for airbags and vehicle safety?
I think Lamar is just more salty that he had to have his car detailed fucking again.
Oh, and you had to have basically the entire engine and exhaust replaced and the electrical system replaced because water.
Yep, that was upsetting, but lots of marriages end in divorce. It was going to happen. He thought it ended earlier than it actually did.
She held a grudge a long time, and wraiths are beings of emotions, and any lingering emotions she had come to the forefront.
As Jackie said, women are emotional.
She a little bit salty.
Ain't that the truth?
And I will say
salty.
one thing, because I ran the Wraith Chronicle, Wraith Life Derailed, it gave me a different appreciation of Wraith other than just reading the book. It gave me better ideas on how to incorporate them in the story in a good way, without them being, problematic or overpowered. So it gave me a better understanding into their own motivations. And so what she did was perfectly fine within her motivations, just like feeling sorry for it afterwards would also fit because of that emotion.
Mm-hmm. Ebonblade asks, what is everyone's favorite discipline that they have not used? For Jackie, I'm not going to tell you because it's spoilers. Fang banging has its perks, I'm just saying.
And for those that don't understand the fang banging part, there's a role in the V5 book.
Mm-hmm.
If you and another kindred are intimate, because your kindred, there's a certain, I'm not going to call it blood play. It's not intentional blood play, but kindred are kindred. And when you're
And the kiss
doing
is
that kind of things,
pleasurable.
the kiss is pleasurable. And the beast comes to the surface a bit. So there's actually a role in the book that it took us 15 minutes to refine, even though we all remembered the role. We had to refine the role to see if blood was exchanged.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say, I'm not going to reveal the results of the role, but Jackie's answer, or Ryland's answer pretty much tells you what the results of the role was.
Yeah, because we both might have got a little perk out of that.
I will also say Diablerie has its perks. Stay tuned.
Yep. Anyone? I'm trying to think. Did anyone have any disciplines they haven't used yet?
I have one I haven't used. I was trying to think. I was like, I think I've used all my disciplines because I even used presence or not presence, potence. When we fought the fucking bin flesh suit guards. No, but I do have a discipline I have not used yet. It's fortitude. I haven't used it mostly because there are reasons for why my fortitude is tooled the way it is tooled, and when we get to that stuff, it will come out and people will understand more because I will actually explain, especially if it comes up after the season. We do it in a Q&A, and I can explain more in depth then. So stay tuned.
I'm trying to think. Lamar, you used all yours at some point, haven't you?
All the ones I started with, yes.
But Diablerie has its perks.
Yep. Because you even used blood sorcery once when you climbed the wall in season 1.
Yep.
I've used all my disciplines, except there's some aspects of blood sorcery that I haven't. But Shanky already talked about that one earlier.
Yeah. He's got, Roscoe's got more blood sorcery than you've seen, trust me.
Jesus. Yeah. Dude is stacked in blood sorcery.
Yeah, I'm like, we haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg with that yet.
I'm like, we need to spend some XP on some of them rituals now.
Yeah.
That's literally going to be one of those moments like, wait a minute, how long have you been able to do that?
Yeah, no, we gotta get the skill up.
To really
get the skill up, and then we focus on rituals. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, okay. So let's see. But as far as like disciplines, Jackie basically relies a lot on her skills more so than anything. So she doesn't really use a lot of disciplines often. So I don't know when you'll see that discipline she hasn't used yet.
I have to say, this table of all the games I've ever played is the least discipline using group I've ever seen. I've seen entire sessions go where nobody used a discipline. And when they do use a discipline, a lot of the times it's level 1s. This season is the exception because there's a lot of combat. But aside from this season, this coterie doesn't use a lot of disciplines. They're very cautious about
rousing
using their power.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense that a kindred wouldn't just run around fucking throwing shit around willy-nilly. So I love that fact with this particular group of players. And we'll see how the new players do. I have a feeling that it's going to be a lot of the same, where they're not going to be constantly trying to use flashy powers because you call too much attention.
Mm-hmm. And Maddox asks, is the coterie still off the game board? Storyteller has to answer that.
With the addition of Menelaus, the game board has been reset because a new player, new game. Now you could try to consider there's 2 different games going. There's Portia or Helena versus the Lake Spirit, and then Helena versus Menelaus. But honestly, there's only one game, and that's Menelaus and her. So are they on the board yet? No. Menelaus was not trying to use them as pieces. Whether he considers them potential pieces is a different discussion, but they serve their purpose. That's why he wiped their memory of where they put him. And as far as he's concerned, it's better to let them do their own thing because he's used them already. And if he decides he needs them as a piece later, it's better to not have anything draw attention to him in the meantime. So right now, I guess the best thing to say is they're still watching the board, and they every once in a while kick the table, but they're not on the board.
Yeah. And Ebonblade asks a question for Shanky. Are you planning to bring more different aspects of the World of Darkness to this game, for example, Mage or Changeling?
I don't do Changeling. It's not my game. Don't like Changeling. It's just a personal thing. Mage, I try not to include much because they break Vampire. It's not balanced. The splats aren't balanced amongst each other. There will be some more Mage stuff in, though, because of Tracy Graves. Because Tracy is that link between mages and kindred. She's a very odd kindred, I can say that. With the addition of Hakata, expect more Wraith. Not as antagonists, because again, kindred aren't suited to deal with Wraiths as an antagonist. It's not. It's a fast way to end a chronicle. You have to be very, very careful with how you use them as a storyteller, and I advise all new storytellers think long and hard before you do it. You better really know and give thought to what you're going to do Wraiths with, but expect to see more Wraiths. Trying to think if you'll see any of the other splats from it. Probably not. I don't.
Maybe a little in the intermission. Maybe
a little what?
A little in the intermission.
Of which one?
Dealing with the Goblin Roads.
Yeah, but that's actually Vampire. Goblin Roads are purely Vampire. That's actually not one of the other splats.
Yeah, but there's some tie-ins to other splats.
Werewolf will always be in the background. The demon we've already discussed. It's pretty much done with that. Promethean, the created, don't see it. Mummy, don't see it. So expect the main one is a lot of Wraith.
Yeah, because there's a lot of death in Chicago, so you're going to have a lot of Wraiths.
Yep. And then having a Hakata who has abilities to interact in a better way with them other than just seeing them and trying to figure out what the fuck's going on or getting harassed really adds to the story.
Mm-hmm. All right. So Eben Blade asks, what is everyone's favorite SPC and why? Let's start with Ivy Raven on this one.
Favorite SPC. Trying to think of the SPCs that, in general, I was a big fan of. Now I can't remember her name. I can see her face. She was at Blue Velvet.
Melina.
Bronwyn?
Melina, yes. Melina was awesome. I've fallen in love with the SPC character of Evan, surprisingly, because I was kind of just like, I didn't put a whole lot of thought into him other than he's a fucking himbo. And I threw that at Shanky. I was like, here you go. Because he's not my ghoul. So I didn't want to put a lot of, no offense, I didn't really want to put a lot of work into him. So yeah, but I really liked those two SPCs, which I know are one's heavily tied to me, but still.
That's, you normally will favor ones tied to you.
Okay. And Urine?
Urine is pretty much what she said.
Thank you for trying.
I tried.
You know, we haven't seen him for quite a while, but I really kind of like Genghis. He was a thorn in Lamar's side,
Mm-hmm.
but which
He was a
picked
good
up the story.
antagonist.
Yeah. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I'll bring him back at some point. He's too fun.
Gavin? Yep.
I mean, I have a lot of them, but Etienne is such a presence anytime he's on screen, and I think Lamar genuinely, like, if he could say he genuinely likes any mortal that he's not related to, Etienne would be that guy. I'm also starting to grow fond of Aisha because she likes to mess with Lamar, like, despite the obvious predator and despite knowing that, like, you know, it's like this guy is probably has a very low tolerance for bullshit. And she just goes button.
I love her as a contrast to Khadijah because Khadijah is representative of not just the Banu, the Ashira. She is very formal, very reserved, but she embraced somebody very young to try to get a feel for modern humanity. So I'm playing her like modern humanity. So what? You're older than me. That doesn't earn you respect. I am who I am, and I have no problems being who I am. So she's very flippant. Even mouths a bit off to Khadijah until Khadijah puts her foot down because I'm playing that contrast between the two. And yeah, she doesn't mind tweaking your nose. Either you can handle it or you can't. But she knows you won't do anything to her because of who is her sire.
Mm-hmm.
I have too many to specify just one.
Of course you do.
Of course I do, because I get invested in character stories, and SPCs are characters in their own right. So I have a few. I really enjoy Cedric. I think he's fascinating as a character, and I can't wait to get to know him as Jackie more because he is fascinating as a character. Dredd is also another fascinating character. This is a guy who has been through the fires of war and survived it, but he came out of it scarred, and he still tries to hold on to himself in spite of that. And that's a fascinating story. I love the Ventru bitches in the city. The Ventru women in the city are fucking boss bitches, and I fucking love them all. Melina, Amelia, Tatiana, they are fucking amazing female characters. The men of Clan Venture, they all fucking suck, but the women fucking rock.
I love this season being able to show more of Tatiana's playful side.
Yeah, I love her. She's a great character.
In contrast to Amelia's.
Yeah, she's a great character. Amelia is a great character. I mean, she is a bitch, but she is so fucking sassy and so goddamn awesome.
And self-aware.
And she's very self-aware, and that is fucking amazing. And Melina is just so fucking amazing. Just so fucking amazing. Honestly, as far as antagonists, My favorite is a Luke because there's more to that guy than what's on the surface. He's a great antagonist, truly.
The issue you two had was he was on the back foot,
Yep.
caught unexpectedly.
He was a man not used to having someone, especially a woman, have more power than him.
and he was caught. He's not used to. He's normally aware of what's going on. He was caught flat-footed, and it showed.
And it showed.
And then he overcorrected.
Yep.
Because he was caught flat-footed.
But no, I actually like him as a character. I know, shock. I actually think Ministry are cool. But yeah, I do. I mean, I think all clans are valid. So it's one of those things that as a Ministry, he is a unique Ministry character. He really is. And seeing how that basically him and Jackie were always destined to butt heads. They may have had some general common interests from the start, but they were always going to butt heads because their methods and their ambitions are just different. But he is just a fascinating character. It's going to be really sad when he obviously gets ashed because that's going to happen. But it's
Wow, she's speaking for my characters, huh?
he's either going to get ashed or he's going to run away. So, one of the two.
So we'll go Roscoe, and then the new players can have favorite NPC or SPCs. I mean, you can have favorites even if you haven't been in the stream yet. So
Get a second one?
oh, that's
Angus.
right. That's right. So everyone had one, didn't they?
Yeah. So how about newbies? Do you have a favorite SPC from any seasons? Honestly, just from our Chronicle.
It used to be Zal, and then she said some shit that bugs me as a person. So I blame Shanky for that. But yeah, past that, I like Nero, and I don't know, maybe it's just weird, but I like the idea of somebody who's like humanity is so gone that there's just this disconnect. And then when he finally lets that low humanity go, it's just he is a problem they are going to have to deal with at some point. But just the lack of connection to humanity in him is fascinating because he's just he is a time bomb.
You can't even say a lack of connection to reality because he's very much aware of reality. But yeah, the humanity part is where he's totally gone, just not there. It's Red, do you have a favorite NPC yet or SPC?
Yeah, so I would have to say Etienne as well. He's just such a badass. Even though he's human, he's always such a big like component of the fights that go into it. But I will also say I liked the characters that will be like introduced into next season with Brad and I's characters. Just who we're bringing in. We both have SPCs that associate with their characters. I think will be interesting to see. So I'm excited for that. For
me, Nero is always one of my favorites, just because it's different to play a kindred that flat. He is very flat. I love playing Evan because I love that banter between Evan and Jenny. You don't always see it when they're in a group, but whenever you get Evan and Jenny alone, there's that banter about, she stole his Twinkies, about him wanting to get laid, and she's always cock blocking him. Little things like that. It's the little details, the banter that shows neither one of them are one dimensional. There's multiple aspects to them. I love playing Cedric. Not gonna lie. I like doing Sun Chi just because of that whole monster within thing. I'm mad we didn't get any Wineka. Wineka's always going to be one of my favorites. Lamar hasn't really delved deeply into too many of the SPCs, just him. Though I do like when you get Alexa alone with him, because there's that low-key sexual energy she portrays because she knows a killer when she sees one. And because she's a killer, she likes to feel that killer bond between the two. And that's always fun to see that, because it makes Lamar, who is the obvious predator who has a lot of women hit on him, very uncomfortable when Alexa makes suggestions about the two of them.
Because he also recognizes a killer when he sees one.
Exactly. Yeah, and that I love that bit. So, and yeah, I can't wait for season 5 because, we've got some new ones to do. Emilio and Eric, and we're gonna have some fun.
I'm sorry, that's Matthew.
Matthew, that's right. Matthew, okay, we'll go, Matt. That's right. That's his name he's going by now. Gotcha.
All right. Evan Blade asks, what caught you off guard the most in season 4?
Nothing for me.
Of course not for you, Shanky.
Once in a while, y'all do shock the shit out of me. This season wasn't one of the seasons.
I will say it was when Shanky as Tyrus said something that really fucking hurt Jackie.
The one about can't get a word in edgewise?
No.
Which one? Oh, about Nolan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a raw wound.
He plucked at a fucking really raw wound with my character. That took me a little off guard.
Anyone else got one?
Yeah. When I got summoned to the Chantry by Abraham and told that Sun Chi was just going to be ashed. That was it. You know, no trial.
Very matter of fact, wasn't he?
Yeah. Like it had already been decided. Like,
and that's one of those cases where Roscoe had no idea that he was told when we were doing the pre-episode planning, we were told I said, Roscoe, I got a scene. You're going to get called to the Chantry. That's what I told him. That's it. So yeah. Anyone else got shocking?
I think it was more the the day of the finale when it's like, all right, what if Killian came to the club? And like I am like I'm reading this, I'm like, I had to read it a couple of times because for a moment I'm like, okay, it's it's go time. This is not a drill. I need to get ready for this because my brain was like, I was already over here, like, okay, this is what I'm thinking of doing. It's like, oh no, we're going here. We're doing this.
That's the Shanky twist in a nutshell. Yep. It's like day of. How about this idea for her session?
Well, sometimes you don't even hear about it until the scene shows up. But that was one of those. What if Killian showed up?
It's like, oh, all right, let's go. Let's go.
Jenny doesn't appear shocked.
No, the player had a pretty good guess when I started having my character lurk into Thea's basement that it was going to be her mom down there. But for the character, she was just she was shocked, but when she saw the face and was like, you look like the person that we're here to kill or whatever, I'm like, yeah, this is that Setite bullshit. Like, because she already has low estimation of Setites, the ministry. And so, yeah, that for the character, it was kind of shocking. For the player, I was like, I'm going to go down these stairs. Her mom's going to be down there. Now, I was not expecting the French maid's outfit, but I expected her mom in a cage down there. So
the look on the players' faces with that one. New players can, any season.
If something has been something shocking or thrown you off.
Twist that in any season that you just couldn't believe happened. That can go with the new players on that one.
Yeah, so mine was actually something that Jackie did when Jackie killed the other kindred on the roof and did the lingering kiss first. That was so heartless. I just didn't expect it. It was a lot, but it was so good.
Thank you. Yeah, that was something I came up with like the day of the session, that she would end up doing that because of what Thea was doing to her mother and her boyfriend that was her ghoul. She had ghouled both of them and was lingering kissing them and making them go through withdrawal. And she would have been like, oh, well, a good punishment is to show her exactly what that felt like.
Dark.
Yeah, it was fucked up.
Very
scene.
dark.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was dark. That was good. It was dark.
Mhm.
I would say that like over all the seasons, it's gonna sound like I'm trolling him like I do, but like legit, uh I am surprised that Roscoe hasn't died from some of the shit that he has done. Like the number of legit problems and dangers that he has stared in the face and was like, yeah, come in. Is staggering that, and I mean it's a testament to the character that he can survive that kind of shit, but at the same time it's like, how?
And
Like-
and it doesn't fluster him. He just rolls with it. No matter what gets thrown, he just rolls with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just it's never anything where it's just like shock or anything. It's just like, oh, we're here now.
Well, I mean, you've been through World War One. I mean, you're kind of prepped for anything that comes after that.
Okay, please make a note of that for when I finish some of the Sun Chi line. Just make a note of that.
Oh, thanks, Brad.
Just make a note of that one.
All right. Evan Blade also asks, how do you prep before a game to get yourself in the right headspace to play your characters? For myself, I do listen to some music. I also do some plotting from watching the prior episode on Sundays. I'll look at what we did and come up with ideas on things that I want to do next and how my character would address issues and do stuff like that. But yeah, so it's a combination of that. It's like pre-gaming a little bit in my head, thinking of what she would do, and then adding in some music to help me get in the right emotional space to play her.
Next.
I really don't do anything other than think, oh, what the hell am I going to do this time?
It's valid. I'll answer. I'll do mine real quick. I don't do prep like that normally because I found I do the best scenes as any given character when I go into it with no prep. When it's off the cuff with my improv, I find I do the best scenes that way. So I don't do it.
Sometimes I listen to a little bit of music from a playlist I put together, but sometimes I don't. But then I also just remember that Genevieve is that bitch and she is emotionally broken. So I put on a happy face and just plow forward.
I have some music picked out for Lamar, but I also have kind of like a little breakdown for myself of what I want to try to accomplish each session. So I'll maybe read over that one line and then play a couple of songs for him, and then it's like, all right, just remember, Sombra, Ruthless, go.
Do the new players, you haven't played yet, but are you the types that have rituals or things you do to prep before you play a character? That applies to you too, because you'll be doing it for this one.
So for me, whenever I make characters, there's definitely part of me in all of them. And that's definitely true for this one. So that definitely makes it easier to kind of get into the headspace. But other than that, it's music sometimes. I do have like playlists that I'll kind of listen to, or that I'll put together for characters that just kind of give me an idea of like headspace, or that I know put me in the headspace that would be similar to what they're in. So it might not necessarily be music that would fit that character, but it definitely something that when I listen to it kind of gets me there. But yeah, I think for me, it's just usually I kind of go into it with part of me and all of the characters. It makes it a little easier for me because it's easier to relate.
Okay. Next question. Verlin had to step away a second.
Oh, Red was going to answer.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Do I
right.
get to
Sorry,
answer?
I forgot. I'm sorry. I got distracted when Verlin had to step away. Go ahead, Red.
Yeah. So for me, each character is kind of its own persona. Kind of like what Brad was saying, how they kind of have a piece of you in them. For the things that I don't relate to so much, because Isabella definitely has those, I tend to think of their defining moments in their life that have really shaped who they are as a person, and just kind of think about how that would actually impact me. And even just like picking 2 moments and like using that to get in the right headspace.
Most people have a thing. I will say there are a few songs I do listen to sometimes before I start a game. I like to listen to Highly Suspects. My Name is Human. It's a good song for me to get my mind space right for Kindred. Demons Are a Girl's Best Friend by Powerwolf. Love that one. And Killers with a Cross from Powerwolf. I like to listen to those on a recording day. That's the closest I get to prepping, just because those are just like, I'm very ritual minded about things. That's why I wear my storyteller outfit on stream all the time, because I'm ADHD, and those are the closest I come to prepping. But that's not to get in character. That's just to get my mind to focus on what I'm supposed to do that night. We didn't ask any new questions. Everyone else
Yeah,
finished.
just finishing up that question. Okay. Has everyone answered?
Yep, I almost didn't let Red answer, and then they pointed out, and because my brain was beep.
Yeah, that's a thing.
That's why she handles questions.
Yep, that's why I do that. So Unconscious Celestial asks, well, she said she missed a bit, so she's not sure if it was asked, but is Jenny going to give the Gangle Primogen, potentially X at this point, a run for their money?
No, Genevieve does not want to be Primogen of Chicago. She has already made it abundantly clear she plans on leaving Chicago in the next 5-6 years. So yeah, no, she's staying the hell away from Rosa, because that bitch crazy.
That's a solid plan.
Rosa has a one-track mind, and that is Gerger fight Lupine, which is not a good way to extend your unlife. And Genevieve picked up on that when she hung out with Rosa that one night. And so she's just like, yeah, sure, I can help you Primogen by staying the fuck away from you. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, is what it is.
And so far, that looks like that's it for the viewer questions. Are there any additional questions that the table has?
Hopes for season 5, everybody. Go around the table. Hopes.
I'll do this one real quick. Make it out of episode 1.
And for those that don't know, episode 1, we're going to bring in Nicholas.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 2, Isabella's coming in. So that's going to be the order. We're not going to do both in the same episode. So Nicholas comes in episode 1, Isabella episode 2. Though I heard a rumor that during our intermissions between seasons that'll be coming up probably, well, shit, that would make it next week, wouldn't it?
No, not next week. That's the summary. The intermissions is the week after.
You will get to see... you might see both Isabella and Nicholas introduced as part of the intermissions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little intro to their characters and how they're associated with different coterie members.
Yep. We've got, I've heard a lot of ideas from the players because they pick a lot of the intermissions. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't know. Somebody else answer that question because I'm still thinking.
Meet Waneka. Lamar is going on a charm offensive. We'll see how that works out.
You met him once, but you didn't really get to talk to him.
No. Yeah.
That'll be a fun scene. That will be a fun scene. Because I love me some Waneka.
Yeah, definitely Jackie is going to be facilitating an introduction/negotiation meeting between the coterie members that have interests in Southside and Waneka. Because that needs to happen, because Waneka is basically going to roll through and do cleanup on the Capone and Loden situation down there at some point. And then it's going to be a matter of negotiating management of that turf with Waneka and the coterie members that are involved in Southside. So it needs to be something with Jackie having some relations with Waneka. She's used him before, not even beyond what you've seen in the Chronicle. She's used him as an information source at various times. She can help basically smooth that introduction and facilitate that meeting.
So Temple Arcade, what can I do for you tonight?
It should be
Looking
interesting.
forward to that one.
Next.
Genevieve's hoping to start cracking the nut on why there's horse gambling is cool, but no one wants to have riverboat casinos. So I need to interact with some face-to-face time with some other kindred, which is probably who's keeping it out. So yeah. And I will crack Shanky's nuts
You
at a
do
different
that with
day and
memes
time.
all the time.
So he's just not gonna like it. No, season 5. My goal is partially to interact with the other story elements that are going on in the overall story, but Genevieve is actually looking to move forward with her own goals, as it were, on her gentrification project of the area she set a restaurant up in, which means I need to start working towards getting a hotel of some sort up and going. So
okay. Next person, we still got Red and Roscoe there.
And me. I have an
And
answer.
Verlaine. But Verlaine will get hers in there. She's got all kinds of plans.
Go ahead, Red.
So I'm just excited to see like where Isabella fits in the coterie, and where her skill sets align. I think there's a pretty nice like space for her there, but it always catches you off guard. And really just seeing her get set up in Chicago.
Well, Verlaine, Jack Lee isn't jumping at it. Roscoe's hoping that he gets to investigate what's going on in the pit out at the cabin in the woods and figure that out. It seems some pretty major. If he can keep Lamar from setting it on fire.
Don't invite Martin.
Good luck.
Yeah.
My hope for season 5 is that we start to explore more of observing the machinations going on amongst the two elders battling it out with each other. That's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out over the season. Then on top of that, how the coterie basically keeps their head down and stays off of that fucking board, but still does things from time to time that influences outcomes on that board. And then from a character aspect, really Jackie's goal is to, because the season 4, with the loss of her sire at the end of season 3, between season 3 and season 4, she's been learning who she is without her sire, because he was such a integral part of her existence up until that point. So it's one of those things that I like. I'm hoping to further explore that a bit and be able to focus on things that she is passionate about over the course of upcoming seasons. That's going to be really a lot of fun.
For me, I'm looking forward to them dealing with the Second Inquisition flyboy Felicity situation. You wave like that. There's some things Shanky Twist involved in there that I think is going to be really good, and it's going to be great story. And I can't wait to see how the players react with it. And I am looking forward to the effects on the city of Menelaus. Because I can't plan out all the effects on the city because the players' actions are going to influence that. So I won't know until I see what they're doing as to what some of the changes are. I know his plans, but no battle plan survives contact with the enemy, or in this case, any other kindred. So it's going to be interesting to see what they all bring in there and how they upset his plans, upset her plans, and how they cope. I do have a question as well. One more question, and this isn't strictly vampire related. What game does this table want to try but haven't got to try playing yet?
Paranoia. I mean, I haven't tried it, but you've run it a few times.
So. There'll be another one. Easter Bunny has to die.
This is just any game.
Any game.
Blood on the Clock Tower sounded kind of fun. I just had to work during all the the games that were run. So I would like to try that someday.
It's tough with your work schedule. It really, really fucking is. God
Yeah.
damn. Yeah, that's real tough. You have to wait till you take a vacation. You were muted, so we didn't get to hear your comments on
that'll
vacation.
Probably be it. Yeah, that'll probably be it. You know, vacation. We'll see.
I would say, and this kind of ties in with something that's kind of gone on through the Discord and the Friday chats, but I can't wait to see at least the new Octon Cthulhu. Like I've gotten some of the books and have been kind of like reading through it, and I will always take weird cult mythos shit, but add punching Nazis, and it's just like, so yeah, I can't wait to see that game done with like a shanky twist. Is going to be fucking epic.
And big thanks to Modifus. They sent us a complete set of the books and a set of dice for Octon Cthulhu so that we can
do a review of it.
Review slash stream. We're not going to really, it's going to be more of a game than a review. And because I don't need the dice, I'm probably going to give those away when we run it. So, of course, we're going to get to do some of that.
I would have to say mine is Blades in the Dark. I've heard amazing things. My fiance loves it. I just haven't had a chance to play it yet.
Damn, you should talk to Tis. They're just ending a story arc.
Yeah, it's a great heist system. It really is.
And my wife is going to run the parallel to that game, Court of Blades, at some point.
Yep. Court of Blades, which is more political intrigue and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
If Verlin can't decide, maybe Jenny has one. Yep, Jenny said no.
I honestly would love to play Defiant. I don't know anybody that would run it, so I'm probably going to have to run it instead of play it, but I would honestly love to play that game.
Yeah, I looked at it, and it's not... I'm very self-aware about what games I'm capable of running.
Yeah,
and
Defiant...
after reading it, it doesn't seem like one I would do justice. That's why you don't see me run Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, you're basically supernatural creatures that are in charge. It's almost like you hold a territory, basically like a dominion over parts of society, and so it's more of the high level. You already have reached the top of where you can reach, and so now it's how do you manage it. And I'm like, that's really interesting to me.
For me, because Relyn and I have been watching Lucifer finally, it gave me ideas for a story. And I'm really looking forward now to running Demon the Fallen for the first time. I've got an idea for a general plot idea that I'm still fleshing out, but I finally got that inspiration I needed to come up with a good story arc that doesn't involve the demons being like the emissary. To be demons trying to be, well, angels again, trying to redeem themselves, but in a way that fits the lore and the aspect of the game. I'm really looking forward to that.
I think Demon the Fallen is great if you take it, take the whole courts thing out of it, like them trying to be vampire light out of it, because the book reads very much like vampire light in terms of the courts and who rules them. So if you take that out, I think it's great.
I don't plan to have that at all. My general plan is to show why they joined the rebellion, why they, basically why they fell, what they did in the war, how the war ended, how they took imprisonment, show them becoming a demon when the mortal that they were beforehand. And before the courts have all come, they're going to be starting at the beginning of when the demons started breaking free. And I'm looking at it, running it a dark noir mystery style game, supernatural detectives. The general theme, and I've already said this, is it's going to start off with the missing persons that they get involved in trying to track down. And it snowballs into it's more than just one person missing, and it's a whole thing. I just love the idea of demons that are trying to be angels again and trying to counteract the bad demons in the world, the ones who are doing fucked up shit. And I think it'll be a great story. But I just, I like to hear what other people want to try, because not only does it give me ideas on what to run, but it gives me ideas as to what kind of story they want to tell in Windy City. For Verlin, she likes the high-level machinations, the Machiavellian politics.
I like the scheming and plotting. I
Right.
really do.
And that's why I ask these questions. Roscoe likes to have big red buttons to push and to invite demons into place. That sounds like paranoia to me.
You know, I
What
like
could go wrong?
I like games where there's like romance and intrigue, but the romance is tied because you know that someone has something that'll give you an advantage for fucking them. I mean, you know, so it's like
And let's see, and Red over there talking about she wants to do Blades in the Dark. So you're going to be the sneaky motherfucker in this coterie. Gotcha.
Oh yeah, you haven't seen my character sheet yet, then I guess.
But I didn't want. I'm not going to name your dots. But yeah, you're going to be the sneaky planner of it. That's why I like to ask those kind of questions, because though it's not vampire related, it gives insight. And Jenny doesn't have one, which tells me Jenny's just going to go with the flow and do her thing.
The player doesn't have any. Yeah, I have not been a role player. I've played in a lot of different games, and I've basically played in the stuff I wanted to try. I've seen it and be like, sure, I'm gonna try out for that, and I've tried it. So, yeah, honestly, the only role playing I interact with is actually this game. So,
And Vampire really leads itself to high role play. That's why I like running it. You know, yes, this season had a lot of combat. That's rare. I prefer the high role play. You know, where we don't show the boring parts of your lives as Kindred, because who wants to watch, you know, Jackie managing her cabaret, doing the paperwork, filing the taxes, talking to her accountants? Nobody wants to see that shit.
no.
You don't want to see Roscoe trying to order more occult books for his place. You don't want to see Jenny dealing with food distributors. You don't want to see that.
I'll say this. I almost want to see Roscoe ordering books only because I can only imagine he gets them from like the most sus suppliers.
It's going to be like that clerk scene where he's ordering at the video store.
Mhm.
Ass Rammers 5, you know, Fisting Fireman 2. He's going to go through a whole list of stuff he wants, and whoever's in the store is just going to be going, oh, God. You know, that's the thing is, yeah, that's part of the beauty of it all, honestly, is with this game we're playing is the high role play and watching those little interactions, the little things. Jenny talking about Blue Velvet. Just the pure shade and just the layers of...
It was so worth that shade, though. It deserved it. Jesus
And it was-
Christ.
and it
That
wasn't
place
just
was
like-
so dead, it hadn't had a pulse in 20 years.
And it wasn't like a single gimmick. It was layer upon layer of escalating shade she was throwing. She started off with just a couple comments, and then it just starts escalating and escalating and escalating. And it's like, this is so good. She's just trashing it on every level she can come up with at once.
Yeah, it was so good. I'm so glad I decided to step back from that scene, have Jackie go out and actually walk the floor of the club a bit to let that scene just play out, because just sitting back and watching that as a player at the table was fucking just
And
amazing enjoyment.
the Blue Velvet, there was reasons it was dead that night. But then watching Jenny and Jackie after they're done having their little talk and going, God damn, we're going to Boys Town.
Yeah, let
They're
me go
gonna go
take you
get
to
some
the
laid.
lesbian bar.
They're going to go get laid.
the reasons could be 100% valid, but Blue Velvet still sucked ass, and not in a good way. It sucked the air out of your ass and the room and the block around.
What do you
it.
expect from somebody
So-
who's has Malkavian crippling social anxiety?
Yes.
Who tries to run a fucking club? It's
Yes.
not really a good combination.
And so what does that tell you? She's not a good business person because she should have a fucking ghoul running that place then. Or somebody else to be the face person while she can like hide in her fucking antisocial
She's
lair.
too
I
paranoid.
totally get it. I don't leave the house, but I also don't go and own a fucking club and be like, come into my fucking
Yep.
creepy blood parlor. You know,
She's just too paranoid. It's understandable. So, any other
Sorry.
questions from the cast for each other?
Newbies, are you excited to play?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said earlier, with having seen like so many games and playing other games on the channel, like I'm excited to see more. So I live in Chicago, so I'm excited to see more parts of Chicago, I guess, maybe get explored with the Hakata kind of getting introduced. I'm interested to see, and like Red was saying, kind of seeing where we will end up fitting into the coterie. Just because there's a lot of different personalities, and there are two very different personalities going to get introduced, and it could get weird, and I'm here for it.
I'm also just super excited to see, like, as someone who's watching the show, you don't get to see or hear about all the things that go into people's backstories. And so far, I love just hearing all that, and it's so interesting. And I can't wait to hear more of it, like as the season progresses, and like get to intertwine my character into it with the different history. So yeah, I'm very excited.
So Brad and Red, and even Ivy Raven and Gavin down there, Lamar. What'd you think of the audition process for Windy City? Because all four of you, Roscoe didn't have to go through the audition process, of course, because he's the third McStabber. I would be a stupid idiot if I told my wife she couldn't play at a table. So she was guaranteed to be a spot. But for the other four of you, what do you, now that you've all been through it, Ivy Raven's case has been on both sides. She's been on the auditioning part and also helped run the auditions with us. She was actually, I'm going to say this now for you, Ivy Raven, you were integral to us running the auditions. You were a big help in running the auditions as a whole, and we appreciated the help. But now that you've all four been through it, what is your opinions on that audition process?
It's just as I remember feeling it was a meat grinder doing it the first time, and watching it back, it's like, okay, seeing other people go through it, it's like, okay, it wasn't just me. I was dead, because I remember definitely being like, there's no way I'm getting out of this round. Oh, well, okay, got out of this round. There's no way I'm getting out of the next round. That people are bringing it and, getting through to the end, and like, just kind of watching everybody go through it. It's like seeing like, it's like, oh, that's promising. That person's got something awesome. And just kind of watching things escalate until we had the new cast members. It was like, yeah, all right.
It works.
It works, and it's fun to watch from the outside. I wish I could have been part of helping with it. But it was still great to work sucks. But it was also great to just watch it, and take some time and really get to view things outside of the process.
Yeah, I definitely relate to that piece about just like not thinking you'd make it to the next round. After the second one, I was like, oh, I definitely did not get that. And then I got a message the next day. So I definitely agree with that. I really liked how the scenarios were built out for it. It was good to kind of be introduced into Chicago, even if like it's not the character you're going to play, or just to get to role play it. That I thought it makes sense to do it that way, and I really enjoyed having it done that way.
Because the audition process mimics a lot of how we play the game. There was a whole improv scene where they went in with no warning, just got told, okay, this is what's happening, let's go. And then there was another one where there was planning, because that's the basis of our table. There's some things that are shanky twists and just total improv, and then there's things that are the cast coordinates behind the scenes, and that's what the auditions covered. So we'll have Brad go next, and then Ivy Raven there can comment, because she's been on both sides.
Yeah, I think for me, especially compared to the other processes with the other games, it's been, for the most part, it's you put your name in the hat, and generally it's the people who seem to apply are people that you guys are kind of familiar with in some degree or another. So there's really not an interview. It's you put your name in, and then you submit your checklist, and then past that, it's if you get picked or not. And this was actually getting to see a little like peek behind the window, or the curtain rather, of seeing, okay, if you get in, this is Fantasy Grounds. This is what we're going to be using, letting us play with that. But then it's also getting a scenario and learning, just how much is a planning thing versus an improv thing, how much collaboration goes into it. And then, like Red said, getting past that first one is just like, well, there's no way I'm making it to round 2. And then it's because I can only speak to, the people that I interviewed with, and there were great people. Um, so kind of seeing, and I can only imagine what it was like when there were a lot more
32
going
for the
through it.
first time we interviewed for this. We halved for this round of applications that Mischievous Red and Timber Red went through. From the initial applications, round 1 we cut half after round 1, and that's a big cut when you have the field.
But yeah, just getting to see just the difference in investment that as a potential player applying for a spot in here, just the vast difference between that and any of the other games has been well, and understanding that this being kind of like the flagship, you take this a little more seriously. Plus this is a long running campaign, so you want people who fit, like they need to check a lot of boxes, not just. And so getting to see all of that for me, like I said, as somebody who's been in other games before, seeing the difference, but then actually going through the process and having that input from someone like Ivy, who's been on both sides of it, was awesome.
She's been on all 3. She's been through the interview. She was a guest player and then got to be actually 4 of them when you think about it, then a cast member, and then on the back end of the interview process.
Yeah. No, it's sorry, what was the original question?
You've been through the audition process. You've been on all the sides of it. How do you feel about the process where we cast this show for that?
Yeah, no, I think that the process is really good. It's doing it when I did it in the fall of 2020 for the original casting call, I wasn't thinking about some of the other stuff. Like I was worried about my tech, but I wasn't stressing over it, or I wasn't stressing over some of the other things. And then it was like going through those rounds, I learned stuff. I learned some things about myself. That's also kind of why I tried to tell people during this second one, like, if you feel like your character would do something in this scene, fucking do it. Because that was one of the things. I came out of the first round of things carrying a ton of regret over something I didn't do in my final interview. And that probably hurt me because I let the clusterfuck like carry me away instead of putting my foot down, which my character had put my foot down previously. But anyway, besides the point. Doing the guest stuff was interesting because sure, I was involved. So I was seeing some of the back end stuff, but I wasn't involved with all the characters. I was heavily involved with Merlin's character. So we talked about what Jackie's doing, what Jackie wants to do. How can Abigail help that? What is Abigail going to do? Those kinds of things. So we were intrinsically talking about a lot of stuff. Coming in as a player, then actually interacting with other people's characters and doing those kinds of things. Doing the interview process from the back end side of it as a person who's already at the table was super interesting to me. Because you're looking at so many things. You're looking at how they answer questions, body language, camera, lighting, mics. You're looking at, you look at 400 fucking things in like a 30-minute time span, and you have to be able to kind of go through and pick out these things. And it's not that everybody was like, oh, these people were cut because for something. It was more of, like Brad said, talking about table dynamic. Table dynamic is huge. And like when we would deliberate and among the existing cast, it was a lot of times it was because it was like, how is this person going to interact with what we currently have going on? Instead of it being like, we couldn't have a person come in and be like, it's now their show, quote unquote, because it has to continue being our show. So like I said, it was really interesting to me. I was super glad and happy that I was able to help out on that, because I know that everyone else has jobs and they're busy and have lives. And I was like, I've got nothing going on, so please let me help out.
I have all those, but yeah, I had, it's evenings. I could do it always.
Oh, well, yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, you were a great help. I honestly can't stress enough how thankful Verlin and I were for your assistance on it.
Seriously, that's true.
All the questions you were asking.
They were great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so that's fine. It's what I do. I worm my way, and I'm gonna become the the fourth McStabber, the satellite McStabber. So.
Don't joke around. Careful joking with that because you'll get work piled on you didn't know you were going to have. I'm just saying.
And it's unpaid.
My extremely busy schedule. Look out, everybody.
We would make Lance do a lot of work down there, Urian, but he works more than I do. And we really can't.
So Maddox did ask Fang, Marry, Kill for Portia, Mentally, and Lake Spirit.
Mine's easy. Kill all three. Fuck that.
Mm. Leave the city and say fuck them all.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sending out a text message on the satellite phones. The G700 leaves in 20 minutes. Be there or you're fucked.
Already on the tarmac.
The good thing about the Lake Spirit, only thing I'll say about the Lake Spirit is sploosh. It's not the Sahara. That's a good that callback.
All
for you,
right,
Jenny.
so I think we are done with questions.
Yep, we're gonna wrap this up now so we can everybody viewer vote for the season viewer vote. Everyone got 13 votes except Lamar, who got 14. But I'm not going to be an asshole that just says Lamar gets it. So, because that's a lot of engagement from the viewers.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody gets the final viewer vote for the season. Of course.
Thank you, viewers. Seriously, thank you.
Isabella and Nicholas don't, but they'll start next season, so they'll get to compete for that. And so, the whole purpose of that viewer vote is to gauge engagement with the viewers to make sure that they like what we're doing enough to vote on it, to comment on, to show not just appreciation, but feedback on how the players are playing.
Right.
And for that comment, join us on our Discord. That's where the viewer votes are done in Chi-Town chat. But as mentioned here, we cast our shows from the Discord. Not every show cast goes through the insane rounds of auditions that we did for this one. Red was in Zasarkala. She just sent me a message and boom, she was in it after I checked her tech.
The Way Home cast, they sent me messages, completed consent forms, and they were in it.
Yep. Pretty sure that's the same kind of thing that went on with the werewolf game that had been done at one point. It wasn't that big of an interview process for that. And so join the Discord. You might get to play with us because we like getting new people at the table. We don't like always having the same people. I mean, granted, the cast of Windy City is the cast. But we like when we do one-shots and miniseries, having different people. That's how Red got to play Zasarkala, and now Red is in this one. Different people. We love to do that table dynamic. If you want to catch back episodes, hey, pop over to YouTube. You can get all the back episodes of what we host here from the McStabber Studios, plus Haunted Chronicles, which is the Tamshu Run games. They're on their own YouTube channel. He likes to keep his Haunted Chronicles subset on their own. And, of course, London Esoteric Societies on Ishvel's old channel, which is where the D&D Ishvel, run by Amazing Tiss. So you can pop over there. You want to catch out other great content creators? Guess what? Check out our friends list. We got a whole bunch of friends that we like out there. And these are other people that we like to support that are great content creators out there that stream role-playing games. There's other people that we like that, we don't shout them out because this is a role-playing channel, really. Ravenous Archon, Junie over on the RPG table. Junie and her crew are awesome. We love Junie. She's one of our guest players now. She's been officially put in the guest pile for us.
Season 3 and Season 4 merch is going to be coming down from the Zazzle shop after the intermissions air for Season 4. We are going to be uploading Season 5 merch, including Isabella and Nicholas. So there will be a new poster for Windy City After Dark. There will be new mugs. There may even be some T-shirts over the course of the season, over Season 5, possibly Season 6, with new, cast representations on the T-shirts like we've had in other seasons. So definitely check out merch while you can for Season 3 and Season 4 that's still available in our Zazzle shop before it's gone.
Yep. And if you want to support the channel, of course, you can give us a follow here on Twitch. You can give us a subscribe. Bits and donations, they always go to the players. Not to Relin or I. That's our way to give back to the players and for the viewers to show appreciation. But we also now have our own KoFi. If you want to give to the studio itself, a great way to do it is, of course, through KoFi. We don't divide our Discord into those who donate and those who don't, into the pay and have nots, because that's not the community we built. But if you want to support the channel and you don't want Twitch to take half your money, because when you support it through Twitch, they take half. You can do that through KoFi, just so you know. I'm going to turn this over to my wonderful wife because she does the schedule for the week and will tell you what a schedule is.
All right. So, oh no, you were right. The intermissions are next week, so we got to get on to filming those.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm making a post tonight about intermissions.
Okay.
In the cast chat, in the guest chat.
Chop, chop, Shanky. All right.
But I'm off work until December 1st, so I can record any time of day that we can get the people together.
All right. So join us. Thank you so much for joining us for the live cast Q&A for season 4. Next week on Sunday, we will be doing the intermissions, but I'll get to that in a second. On tomorrow, we have a new premiere of a new campaign run by Tam Shu. It is called Tormented Souls. It is a D&D Curse of Strahd campaign. And Tam Shu is going to be giving away a handcrafted leather wallet that he has made himself. He does leather crafting that he is calling the Purse of Strahd. You want to join us at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow for the premiere of Tormented Souls and the giveaway of a handmade leather wallet that is amazing. He showed us sneak peeks of it. I'm waiting for a really good photo from him because his camera photo didn't really do the leather justice. So it's a really cool little wallet, and you'll want to check that out for that giveaway.
And I can't wait to see him run. I've seen Tam play D&D. I've never seen him run D&D.
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting, his dark take on things, because he can be a very dark storyteller at times.
Yeah, so that Curse of Strahd campaign is going to be a long-running campaign. It's going to run at least a few weeks through probably most of December. So join us for the premiere of it tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then for the rest of the week, we have nothing until Saturday. So please, it is Thanksgiving in the U.S. on Thursday. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Be safe, but enjoy your time with your family or your friends or whoever you spend that holiday with. Enjoy the food, but do it safely. We are still in pandemic and it is flu season, so please be safe.
And for those that aren't necessarily going to see their family for whatever reason, I'll be opening up a Zoom chat for members of our Discord because Rylin and I aren't doing anything this year.
We stay home.
I'm going to open up a Zoom chat for those that aren't going to see their family and just want to
hang out
with the community. So we will have a Zoom chat running just so you can hang out with us and just hang out with each other and share Thanksgiving that way.
Mm-hmm. And on Saturday, we do have the return of Blades in the Dark. You can see Ivy Raven in that as Lynthia Dalmore, the very spooky character in that game. They have one big job to do now, and it is going to basically culminate in the end of this main story arc that the Obsidian Syndicate has been playing, where they are finally going to face down, what is it? The Circle of Flame?
Yeah, I think it's the Circle of Flame.
Yeah, the
Sounds
Circle
right.
of Flame. They are some really serious baddies that have been dealing in some weird occult shit and stuff in the city of Duskwall. So join them on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern to see that exciting episode of Blades in the Dark. And then, of course, we will be back here on Sunday, the 28th, for Windy City Dark Season 4 intermissions at 5 p.m. Eastern.
And we've got some stuff planned for that. I'm not going to spoil it all, but and then, just because it's between season, it's not major parts of the storyline, but it's interesting parts of the storyline. It's little bits and glimpses into the characters that you don't normally see because they're highly focused scenes. So, and that is always on this channel. Everyone, McStabber Studios takes mental health very seriously. Please check in on your friends, check in on your family, check in on your loved ones. Make sure they're okay, because a lot of people, especially with the holiday season, they're not. And some people just need someone to reach out to them, to be that lifeline, to be a hand to keep them from going over that cliff. And if you do suffer from mental health issues, like many of us do, myself included, please don't hesitate to reach out to those around you. And if you can't, because some of us don't feel we have support around us, and America's healthcare system sucks ass and you can't afford to get professional help, in chat right now is a list of numbers you can call or text 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So somebody will talk to you to try to help you, because mental health is health. And, you should take your health seriously, and you should take mental health seriously. And there's nothing wrong with either one. You need help, because everybody, we're in this together. no one is an island. And it's together is how we get through things. And now I'm going to turn it over to our resident nurse. And hell, now we got nurses at the table. Shit.
You'll get two of us now, both me and Timber Brad. Yes, so collectively, he and I will tell you, please go get your vaccines. It is flu season. Flu shots are available everywhere. So please go get your flu shot. And also, please get your COVID vaccine. And if you have been fully vaccinated and are above the age of 18, nationwide now, you are eligible to get a COVID vaccine booster. So please go get that if you have been vaccinated, fully vaccinated, and basically meet the qualifications for that. And it's just basically that it's been like 6 months since you were vaccinated. So please go get your booster so that Delta variant doesn't rock your world.
And before we go, Red, shout out your YouTube channels or your Twitch channels, please.
Oh, yeah. So I also stream on my own channel, which is at Mischievous Red. So what's in the corner but minus the underscore. And then I also have a channel with my fiance that's Huntsman's Hydra, which I can spell.
And we'll be adding Huntsman Hydra to the friends list for sure, because that's TTRPG content that goes on the friends list. Give Red a follow there. Pop over and see her on Twitch, everybody. She's new to the community, but she's already one of us. And please join us on the Discord and join us next week. And I do thank everyone for coming, and thank you to this wonderful cast and the new players. I'm looking forward to next season, and a big thank you to the viewers, because without the viewers, there wouldn't be much of a show, would there? We could just not stream it if we didn't have viewers and just be playing, a table game. So thank you all for coming. And
good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. As soon as I can find the closing, which I don't have on here. So I'm just going to have to end it without the closing slide. That shows you how set up I was tonight. Good night, everybody.